Hi, I'm Jen Mandia, and I'm here to welcome you to today's in session, the NFT Playbook for Music with Changor Barabasi. Changor is the technical co-founder of Fuel, leading the development of their NFT platform. Originally from Romania, he completed his studies in the field of artificial intelligence in the UK, afterward joining Deliveroo as software engineer. Changor later transitioned to technical leadership, having built out the engineering organization of Wheezy, UK's first on-demand delivery company to 20 plus people. Currently, Changor's goal is to fuel NFTs into mainstream adoption and help as many creators as possible to earn a living from their craft. Get ready for a step-by-step playbook on how to get into Web3 and connect with fans in a new way while forming a new stream of revenue. So if you weren't already excited, get excited now. It's going to be a jam-packed session. At this time, I'd love to introduce you to Changor, so take it away.
Welcome everyone. Today I would love to share with you a Web3 playbook for music, how you can use NFTs to empower your music career. I won't say much about myself because Christian did a wonderful introduction, so thank you very much. But I would say just a couple of words about Fuel and what we do. So basically, we are based in Berlin, and we are a startup. We started at the beginning of this year, and we help musicians, artists to launch their NFT career, basically. And beside being a tech company and building out the platform, which is all no-code solution and it's very easy to use, but we also try to be involved in the industry, in the community, and help artists with either ideation, helping them with storytelling, with branding, and also giving advice on community building. So at this stage, we really want to take the end-to-end approach and just really help as many artists, as many musicians on board into the space, because I think that is truly game-changing for the industry. And I want to also share with you why I think that. Who we work with so far, we have been very focused on the music space, but in the future we also look to expand into traditional art, digital art, and the likes. But so far we have been fortunate enough to meet some wonderful people and also have them as part of our company, such as Turkey's #1 megastar Güneş, or we are working with a couple hip-hop stars from Germany, such as Crow, and also the label and management Two Sides, who is managing some of the biggest artists in Germany. So really, we want to help all these people to start their NFT career, but we also focus obviously on the early joiners, the ones who are at the beginning of their career. And I would say that this presentation is more tailored to that. So how can you, behind the screen, get started right after this presentation and get into the NFT space? So first, why NFTs, or why are we here and talking about disruptive technologies in the music space? Why does music need innovation? That is the biggest question. And honestly, when I analyze the music space, because originally I don't come from music background, I'm just passionate about building products that change people's lives and always trying to find problems where I can have an impact in the world. And when I was reviewing the music industry, it really looked to me like a zero-sum game. And it was also worrying that so many artists, wonderful artists with wonderful music, are still struggling in the space. And when I looked behind the curtain, just saw the incredibly low numbers. So for example, for an artist to earn just 30,000 euros per year, they have to have at least 12 million streams on Spotify, which, if you think about it, it's, I think, combining some of the biggest cities in Germany, Berlin, Munich, Cologne, all into one. So really, like, you have to reach a lot of people. And this bar is set super high. And it might be that for most of the artists, especially at the beginning of their career, this seems daunting and sometimes even maybe discouraging to get to continue their career. And truth be told, we saw that most creators are far more famous, beloved, and talented than they are rich, than they are making money. So a lot of creators had a side job beside their music gig. And this didn't sit well with us. And beside this, we also try to analyze the past and see whether this will get better over the upcoming years. And the unfortunate situation is that it won't. because we saw that the streaming revenues in the past 8 years have been declining by about 50%, while in the same time, for example, on Spotify, the number of artists have been growing like 10x, and it's aiming to grow another 10x in a couple years, in the next 5 years. So really, there are more and more people battling for less and less the pie. And this is what we call a zero-sum game. So then NFTs came along, and they can really switch the whole music industry. They can revolutionize it, and they can open up a new unprecedented revenue stream for artists. But before we can dive into NFTs, first I would like to start with a very basic introduction about the technology behind it. I will promise that I don't go into a lot of technical lingo. I will try to stay as high level as possible, but still is very important for everyone to understand why is this happening? Why is this cultural shift, cultural movement emerging so fast? So NFTs are categorized as part of Web3. I'm sure many people already heard this thrown around the web in different news that, oh, Web3 is here, is Web3 the future? But what is Web3? So if we start with the beginning of the internet, let's say in the 1990s, that was Web 1 era. And then what happened is that most of the people created a website, created a blog, but this was mainly just static information publication, meaning you created your website, you wrote there your thoughts, shared the link, and someone could consume it. But there was not much interaction between you, the creator, and the end consumer, the end user. Then Web 2 came along in the 2000s up until today, and this changed the dynamic of the internet. Suddenly, social platforms emerged, and everything was about social exchanges. This is also when e-commerce emerged, and there was monetary exchange happening on the internet. So all this was enabled through Web 2. But suddenly what happened in Web 2 is that there were a couple companies, a couple of corporations who were benefiting of these social exchanges. And if you think about it, Google, Facebook, TikTok, they all monetize on our attention. And this is their business model. But at the core, the creators and the consumers of the internet who really provide the value are us and the artists who create the content for the internet. So if we wouldn't be there, then there wouldn't be any attention to monetize, right? So this seemed a bit unfair in the whole setup of the internet, that there are just a handful of companies taking all the benefits, and we are here and working on their behalf, basically, and letting them monetize our data, our attention, our time. And then decentralization came around. And this is what we call Web3. So Web3 has the goal of dissolving the power structures and creating a more decentralized society where every single person is owning their own data and transactions are happening person to person, and we are directly benefiting for our work instead of having intermediaries. So as I was mentioning a couple of times, this word data, it's all about the data. And if you think about it today, there are these corporations that are owning your data, such as Google, Facebook, Instagram. When you publish images on Instagram, it's not your IP. Instagram suddenly takes it over. They can monetize it, right? And that is the setup of Web 2. Big corp owns your data, and they can do whatever they want with it. But now suddenly with Web3, all this gets decentralized. So now everyone owns all the data. And then we transition towards an open economy when the data, which is the most valuable part of the internet, suddenly is open for everyone. And also we as participants of the internet can choose what data we share with everyone and what we don't want to share with everyone. And all this is possible because of a technology called blockchain. And the way blockchain works and why is it possible and why it's also trustworthy that once you share your data in the world with this decentralized system, it will not be tampered and changed, is because this whole blockchain you could imagine as a string of blocks, really. And each little block is containing information that is cryptographically encrypted. But the caveat here is that every single new block contains a little information that is related to the previous block. So that as time passes by and more blocks get built on top of each other, then it will be impossible to tamper the data. Almost impossible. There are some hypothetical ways that this could be done, but for the time being, we could just say it's almost impossible. And then you can fully trust this decentralized system that once the data is there, that is reliable. And that's what makes this blockchain wonderful. Then, as in the beginning, the whole blockchain ecosystem and technology rose together with cryptocurrencies, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. Ethereum, Bitcoin were the two most popular ones, and these were used for monetary transactions. But as the technology evolved, suddenly people realized that there could be something more stored on this blockchain in a safe manner, rather than just a number which shows your balance for your money. And this is when NFTs came around. So NFTs basically could be any type of digital content, be it audio, video, even this presentation. We could transform it into an NFT and we could put it on the blockchain, really. And what happens is that once you have your NFT on the blockchain basically issues you a digital certificate which proves that you are the owner of that digital content. And because the data is also open, it can be retraced that you were the first one who shared this data on the blockchain. And then basically this proves that this is original. And finally, digital items have value and they have scarcity. And they will be stored forever on the blockchain. Now you could ask me that what about, because in previously what was happening is that I had a video on YouTube and everyone was just able to download it on their PC and then share it with everyone. Or I have an image and it's right-click save and they can share it with everyone. Absolutely right. That is still possible despite that the blockchain is here. But now just imagine, I would like to give an example. Think about the Mona Lisa. So the Mona Lisa is in the Louvre. There is just one single Mona Lisa painting. But then what happens is that millions of people go to see it. They take pictures. There are also T-shirts printed with Mona Lisa on it. Some of them make fun of it. They create memes out of it. But all that does is increases the value of Mona Lisa. And the owner of the Mona Lisa is not harmed by all this activity that is happening out there. He is actually happy about it because more and more people talk about the Mona Lisa, and the more people reach a consensus that this item is very valuable and we should print it on our T-shirts, make fun of it, create memes because everyone knows about it, the owner is benefiting of it because it can be proved that who exactly is the owner of the Mona Lisa painting. And now imagine this example, take it into the digital world, because suddenly the whole society we saw during COVID, we transitioned towards more digital. So now suddenly digital content can also have value. Music can have value. Pictures can have value. And this unlocks a new stream of opportunities for emerging creators. Now I would like to show you a couple case studies how musicians have been succeeding so far with music NFTs. So for example, the first use case and very important in the NFT space, that it's not anymore about the millions of numbers. It's not about having millions of Instagram followers, millions of Spotify streams to make it as an artist. Rather, it's about your super fans. As it says there, super fans beat streams. And two very good examples, artists in the NFT space, Nifty Sax and Fifi Wrong, they had very, very low monthly listeners. Nifty Sax only 30 monthly listeners on Spotify, Fifi Wrong 1,700. And by selling their music NFTs to their super fan community, last year they managed to earn between $100,000 to $200,000. which hasn't been possible before. Like Spotify will not pay you for, I don't know, maybe selling 1,000 songs or 1,000 streams. You will never be able to reach that. So this is the first paradigm shift, that we move from big numbers, the millions, to only the quality that matters, your community of superfans. Secondly, distribution in the music space again is changed. So now, as I said, as a decentralized system, you can be connected with everyone. So basically, you could do anything that you want. Now, suddenly, you don't rely on DSPs, whether they will like your music or not, or a Spotify playlist curator, whether they will like you or not, and then hopefully get in that playlist so that millions of people can listen to you. No, you can take matters in your own hand and you can own your distribution. And you can decide how you want to sell that NFT, what is the price of it, to how many people do you want to sell it, and all that. So, for example, Tory Lanez released a new album as an NFT and sold 1 million copies, each for $1, immediately went platinum. And he just decided that that's the route for him, instead of going for Spotify and waiting until getting tens of millions of listens. Also, besides having full control over your journey, suddenly your music will be again valuable, because music is art. It's like you have traditional art, but still music, it's a creative process, and it's an artistic process behind it. But because of streaming, it was devalued. Now, all that streaming companies are focusing on is how they can optimize that we listen to music in the background while we are running, while we do this task or that task. But then we don't value music at all. Sometimes I even find myself that I go on Spotify and I have no idea what to listen to. But I can just remember that when I was a kid, I had this little Sony Walkman, and I had to go on Pirate Bay back then, but I had to download the songs, carefully put them on my Sony Walkman, and I knew by heart what was my playlist and what were the songs that I exactly had there. What did I want to play when my mood was upbeat or a bit downbeat? I knew all my playlists. Right now on Spotify, I have no idea. I have probably 50 albums, 50 playlists, all of them with different songs, and it's not, I don't value it so much anymore because of this behavior that was created and induced. So actually, I'm very happy that NFTs are coming along, and finally you can choose and handcraft your playlist again, and you can choose your favorite artists from who you want to buy your music. And finally, this also like being so in an open ecosystem and having all the data visible on the blockchain also enables full transparency, which is, transparency is not a word which is in the vocabulary of the music industry. And we believe, at least in the NFT community, that transparency helps. It builds more trust. And being a decentralized system, trust is needed. Trust is key between actors in the system. So with blockchain, you can suddenly create collaborations and have new distribution models, for example, going out live together with another artist. And you can hard code into the NFT, into the smart contract, how the revenue will be split among yourselves. And that once created, it cannot be changed because it's imprinted on the blockchain. And then you can fully trust that the deal terms that you agreed with your collaborator, they will be met, because everything will happen there on the chain. Moving to the next point, another case study is creating exclusive communities through NFTs. And here, basically giving special access to your super fans. So maybe you just decide to sell an NFT or give out an NFT for free to your super fans, and then you create a little Discord community, for example, where you invite all of them. And here you can create a more intimate connection with your super fans and really transform them from being just passive listeners, being far, far, far away from you. You don't even know actually who they are, to being super close, having daily conversations with them, and really making them a stakeholder in your career a part of your music and your art. And this can again unlock new opportunities, because maybe you can share your music earlier with your super fans before going out live, or you can know that they will be always there to support you, and no matter what you release, they will always help you to get to the next level. So this is really the advantage of having these exclusive communities of your top fans. And as I mentioned, you can, through these communities, you can increase fan involvement massively, because the trend that we are seeing in society is that with this remote work happening, people are starting to have more and more interests, and especially in the NFT space, people want to get involved in many things. So they want to get involved in many communities, many societies, and somehow contribute and have fun. And exclusive communities can unlock this, because you can involve your fans, but more important than that, you can also reward them for their involvement. So for example, Balkan Bomb just sold the right to name their song, and a lucky fan was able to name their next song that was coming out. And another way that you can also reward your fans moving forward is through royalties and ownership. So although this is a very complex matter, especially if you don't fully own the rights to your music anymore, but if you are still at the early stages, this can benefit you very well, and can be a great information that you have the chance to monetize by staying in control and also involving your fans. So for example, you could sell royalties and grant ownership to your super fans, and then they will help you promote the song, most likely because they feel that sense of ownership, that stakeholderness in your work, and then together you can get to the next level, and then also share the success together with your community. And the final case study which I would like to share about, because these mainly were bigger artists that I was sharing, but we also, as I mentioned with Fuel, we are helping artists from either beginning of the career or through middle of the career, just to get to the next level and really get started in the NFT space. And with Matt Joe, they were a DJ duo based in Berlin, wonderful guys, been invited to Tomorrowland to play and the likes. And there was one problem: their super fans didn't always know them, didn't always know their face, because as a DJ, it's sometimes hard for your super fans to know your face. So what we helped them craft and create was first define their story and who they really are, and we helped them set up a website for it. And then the next step was to just build up their community, help them to be present on Twitter, join into Twitter Spaces, talk with the fans, also talk with the fans on Instagram, and tell them about this new exclusive community and NFT project that is created. And we managed to help them to sell out in less than 4.5 minutes, 75,000 euros in total. And we managed to get them #1 worldwide for music NFTs. And since then, they just have a more intimate connection with their super fans through this little token that they shared. So now that I shared all these different approaches and case studies, the big question arises: how to get started? And although I could go on and on probably for hours about how to get started, I tried to break it up into the smallest and most actionable steps possible. And this is a framework which actually I saw first at Gary Vaynerchuk, who was sharing about how to become a social media influencer. And I realized that actually this framework also applies to the NFT space, because the initial part of building up your community is not very different. What really changes is the aftermath of it, when suddenly you own your community, you own another revenue stream, a more promising revenue stream as a creator, and you can also interact with those fans, and they are not just on social media very distant from you. So how to get started? The first step, which is really get started. And you have to go all in, I would say, because in the beginning, it might be a little bit hard and it might need some time to ramp up, but you really have to decide that you go all in. And I know that there will be naysayers. There will be media who will say that, NFTs are a scam or NFTs are not environmental friendly. Honestly, if you look a bit behind the scenes and you read about the technology, most of it is not true. And right now, after especially the Ethereum blockchain moving towards being more environmental friendly as proof of stake and reducing its energy consumption by 99%, right now there is really no argument why NFTs are bad. Actually, they just help to create new value in the economy, new value on the internet, and make digital content valuable. So whenever you feel that some naysayers drag you down, just ignore them and just keep going and trust the process. Second part, first you have to get into the space and you just have to start listening. Just get a bit of a feel of how is the culture in the music NFT space, how is the community. So the first step is get on Twitter. Make sure that you have a Twitter account, and then you can tune into Twitter Spaces. There are spaces about music NFTs happening every single week, and there are other music artists who have been in the space for quite a while, sharing their story, sharing tips and tricks on how to get started, and so on. Once you are familiar with Twitter, probably you will hear quite often, or you will see in the profile bios that, hey, here is my Discord, join. So Discord is this application, for those who don't know, it's like a messaging application where you could join different little communities, and it's just an enhanced community chat tool. So the second step, once you find some favorite accounts that you are following on Twitter, then get on Discord and get more involved with those accounts, because most accounts will have their own communities. So then you can also get in there and see what they are talking about, what are the latest news, and really try to be a sponge and soak in as much information as possible. I also noted down here 2 accounts which are worth following as a great start for the music space. First one is Water and Music, which is a wonderful community. They are doing a lot of research in the music space. They have a lot of articles why NFTs are beneficial for the music space and how they can revolutionize different areas of the music industry. So definitely worth following them and also joining their Discord community. And second, a person which definitely has a strong voice in the space is Koopa Troopa. He also has a music NFT label through which he's investing in early stage artists who are getting into the space, and also definitely contributing a lot to the community. So by starting with these 2 accounts, I think it's great. And then from there on, as they say in the space, just go down the rabbit hole and just let yourself get immersed into the space. Third step, once you are familiar how things are going, start to contribute. Maybe just offer your help, try to help other artists, or just share your story on Twitter Spaces and start speaking up, start asking for speaker slots, and share your story in 1 or 2 minutes, who you are, why you are there, what would you like to get out of the space, and just keep showing up and keep contributing to the whole NFT community, which I would say is not very big. So getting noticed actually is really, really easy. And also what I forgot to mention is that why NFTs are great is because they are a new clean start for the industry. So right now you are not starting and competing against the million monthly listeners on Spotify and trying to get there, but actually most of the people in the space are not 100 steps ahead. They are just maybe 2-3 steps ahead. So you really have a chance to get started and take the lead pole, especially. And 5 years from now, you will just look back and say, oh, thank God I got into the space, because right now I am a lead contributor, a lead voice in the space, and I can also help others to join. So, but this starts with first contribution, because the NFT space you will see is extremely lovely, very helpful, and we just help each other all the time. Step number 4, once you feel comfortable, you created some connections, start creating. This you can do either dropping your own NFT collection, and there are a couple of platforms that you can use including Fuel, Sound XYZ, Royal.io, and there are many others. Or the second part is you can collaborate with other artists. If you wouldn't like to go on your own for the very first drop, collaborations, as I said, are very welcomed, very encouraged, because all the deal terms are on the blockchain, so you cannot tamper with them. And finally, be wild, because NFTs are a new medium for creative expression. And definitely we are talking about different futuristic ideas about the metaverse, and the NFTs will be in the metaverse, and you will be able to wear you put your artwork on a metaverse museum, or create a 3D avatar and wear a t-shirt with your print, or listen to music in the metaverse. So all these futuristic ideas, but that's why also it's beautiful, because you can just be as creative and as wild as possible. And finally, have fun. This is always very important. Don't feel that this is a burden to be in the NFT space. Also, don't get too lost on Twitter, on Twitter spaces and the like. Still, make sure that you keep the balance between your creativity and your creative work and being present in the community, and just enjoy the process. And also the reward afterwards, because the biggest reward for you will be creative freedom. One big disclaimer with that plan, it's not easy. And the reason why it's not easy is because now suddenly you will have to become not just the artist, but your marketing manager, your sales, your spokesperson, your community manager. You will be everything. And what we call internally at Fuel is the entrepreneurial artist. And indeed, that is not easy, but definitely is worthwhile, because you will just have more ownership over your career. And the second disclaimer is ask for help. I think this is a timeless advice, same for startup founders like myself, just to be willing to ask for help from others, and the same for you, because this is your little startup that you are building out in the NFT space, and be willing to just ask for help. Fuel is here. You can reach out to me anytime, or to anyone from my team, and the same response you will also get from the rest of the community. So don't be afraid to do it. Thank you very much. These are still in the early days, I would say, but we can see advancements of it. So, for example, there was one drop, I can't remember exactly the name, but it happened in the UK, and they made it chart eligible. The album was dropped as an NFT and was chart eligible in the UK charts. So we can definitely see advancements. It really depends, I think, on the regulations in each and every country, how you can really tune into the charting system. But I believe that we will get there, and soon NFTs will be counting as counting on the chart. So there are two options, because technology is advancing, and definitely the goal for more and more products is to make it as easy as possible. Option number one is to just stay fully Web3, fully cryptocurrency focused. And then I think a very reliable and trusted source, especially very popular in the US, is Coinbase. So you can just create a Coinbase account in probably less than 5 minutes, and then you can manage all your funds in there, and you can get all your revenue from your NFT sales also in your Coinbase account. Another alternative is MetaMask, which involves a bit of technical complexity, I would say, because you have to store your seed phrase, which is this secret 12-word combination, which if anyone finds out, then your wallet is compromised. But if you store it safely, it won't happen. So this is a second option. And then we see products as Fuel as well, for example, accepting credit card checkout for the fan side. And this also involves that we can do credit fiat payouts for the artists. So, and this can also happen if we accept a crypto payment and then transfer the crypto to fiat, and the artist will just get into their bank account at the end of every week, let's say, the money in dollars or euros. "2021 was a boom and was a hype cycle, and this seems to be the way that crypto grows in popularity, that there is always a hype cycle, and then it fades away for a bit. And now also we are not only going through a crypto down cycle, but we are also looming in a recession. We are in a recession, and this all plays effect to it. But at the core, if we evaluate the NFT as a technology, as a way to store data online, definitely will not go away, because it just has too many advantages. It just, everything that you can do in the real life, that could be every single item, object, house that exists could be put on the blockchain, and this blockchain as a trustless system can prove who is the owner of it, and I can only see benefits. Like, every time I think about it, definitely blockchains won't be, I mean, NFTs won't be this like huge monetary value items anymore, and seeing the hundreds of thousands or millions worth of NFTs being sold, but they will have real utility. And that is the direction that we go into now. How can we use and integrate this into our daily lives, which will start to get merged more and more with digital, so now into our lives, basically. You have this, the blockchain, the decentralized system that we talked about, but in order for the data to be consistent around all the participants, there has to be a consensus mechanism among all the computers that are participating. And then the Bitcoin, for example, and previously also Ethereum, was having this consensus mechanism called proof of work, which means that, imagine that Christian, you decide that you want to publish something on the blockchain. So you do all the work for it, and you encrypt it cryptographically, all that. But then say that I am a participant, Jen is a participant, and Brandon is a participant as well. And then we also have to do all that work that you did just to verify that you're correct. So basically, we all put in the same amount of energy, i.e. we all consume a lot of energy in the world, hence high energy consumption. After the change, so this happened on the 15th of September, called the merge, when for Ethereum, this consensus mechanism changed to proof of stake. And this is a bit more complex mechanism, but what it really says that the participants in the network who have the strongest work have also the most money put at stake. And if you decide to sabotage the network, you lose your money. So now, if you create again your work for the network, I can just quickly verify it instead of redoing all the work. But if I try to trick you, then my stake is gone. And this way, now only you spend a lot of energy on it. All others just quickly glance at it. Yeah, your work is correct. Let's do it. And this way, by 99%, the energy consumption is reduced. So, and then on top of this, there are other technologies which are trying to improve this even further to be as energy efficient as possible.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's In Session. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please join us next time and stay up to date of everything that we're doing with In Session on our YouTube channel at Sofar Sounds. We'll see you next time.